the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock, we're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space, we've got the latest news and reviews in our embrace. Turn on your screen, let the neon lights glow. We'll take you back to the 80s. Let's rock and roll. Sci-Fi Center, where the legends come alive. Get ready to geek out, let your imagination fly. We're diving into the past with a touch of modern flair. Sci-Fi Center, the ultimate pop culture lair. Come on down and get your teeth a gift at the Sci-Fi Center. We got almost everything a geek could want at the Sci-Fi Center. You name it, we got it. Star Trek, Star Wars, Marvel, DC, and everything in between at the Sci-Fi Center.
Welcome to Sunday and a perfect day here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Unless you have allergies and you're suffering, but and I do have allergies and I am suffering. But you know what? I've been suffering with allergies my entire life, so I'm going to take this weather. I wish I could bottle up this weather and just keep this year round, but I know what's coming. I know it's coming. I know the inferno will be upon us soon. But then again, I'm acclimated to that too. Welcome to a Patreon stream. This is going to be a quick, maybe hour and 20 minutes or so, because I'm going to be watching AEW Dynasty here pretty soon. So I just wanted to repay the support for all of our patrons. You know, those of you who can make it. You guys help keep the channel running. You help, pay for the actual StreamYard, things like that, along with the super chats, all those things. And I'm going to start doing these more for members. I got to figure out a way to do it, but I want to do more members ones. Those will be about 20, 30 minutes, maybe post-show stuff. But our Patreons, like I said, I want to make an opportunity for the Patreons to come on, co-host. No topic today. No topic. It's just whatever you guys want to talk about. And I know that opens me up to some disastrous conversations, especially given this week. But you know what? I'm ready for them. Like I said, as long as we can control the tone of the conversation. If we talk about Superman, it's not personal. You don't have, if you like a version of Superman, it's not like I'm burglarizing your house and stealing your woman. You can like that version. Man, the discourse over this last week has been sort of embarrassing for me to be a comic book fan. And that's coming from a guy who rolls around a city like Las Vegas with a fucking lightning bolt on his chest. So, I'm going to go ahead and bring in some of the ones who can make it today. Teledia and Clint, how are you guys doing today?
I'm good. By the way, I got something to show you.
Okay.
The John Cena match. I went to London for Monday Night
Raw.
Raw.
Oh, that's right. You went to Raw the other night.
Yeah.
That was your first event, right? Was that your first wrestling event?
First wrestling event.
Congratulations. Listen, I don't care where you are in the world. Find a way to get to a live wrestling. If you're into wrestling, find a way. There's nothing like the atmosphere of a live wrestling event. I've been to plenty of them. I've hosted some. I got one coming up here on the 16th, and I'm hosting right in our courtyard. I would show you the commercial from it, but it's got some copyrighted music in it that I got to fix before I play it. So, I mean, I love live wrestling. I'm going to TNA. TNA is going to be
in Las Vegas.
Yeah, TNA is going to be in Las Vegas. I'll be here for. And now they just mentioned that they're going to be doing they're getting rid of the digital media title, the dumbest title that they have, by the way, and they're creating an international title, and that's all going to happen at the event that I'm going to be at. So that's on the Thursday. I'm hosting my event here at the Courtyard, and on Wednesday I'm going to WrestleCon, getting my big gold signed by Ric Flair. And maybe Bret Hart, but I'm not sure about Bret Hart because Bret Hart held that belt, but it's not. Ric Flair is that belt. And then the Great Muta is going to be there, and I have my IWGP version for it that I'm getting signed by him. And Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry is going to be there. My TNA belt's going to get signed by him. So I'll have 2 of the 3 champions that have held that belt so far. Alex Shelley is already gone. Nick Nemeth. I'm going to get Nick Nemeth's autograph there too because he'll be there. So, yeah, next week is going to be a really fun week of wrestling. But like I said, if you get the opportunity if you're into wrestling, and if you're into whatever you're into, whether it be comic books, Star Trek, Riverdale, whatever it is, and you get a chance to get to a convention, do it because there's nothing like being surrounded by your brothers, your brethren.
Dude, it was
asshole.
It was.
How did he get a link? Hold on, I accidentally allowed Arte onto the show. Fuck that. I'm just kidding.
Hey, I'm about to get a refund.
So it was worth me going to Monday Night Raw, right? I didn't get back to 9 o'clock in the morning the next day.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you were in London, weren't you?
Yeah.
But how far away from were you?
I'm 3 hours away from London. It took me 9 hours to get back from London.
Wow.
Yeah.
Damn, what did you take? What did you take? The train? Or
No, I took my brother. Me and my brother went.
Oh,
We took my car.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. But
It was nighttime, mind you. It was really dark. So, like, he couldn't visibly see anything. I'm just like, why don't we stop then?
Well, I'm
And then
glad
I
you
was thinking.
I mean, WrestleMania is here, and it's in a. WrestleMania is here. I'm not going to be anywhere near Allegiant Stadium by design.
Oh, it's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be crazy.
And
But the good thing though is that it'll bring in the tourists. So
it's going to bring. Oh yeah, it's going to bring in the tourists. I got a wrestling event here. I'm going to indie events all over the place. I'm going to meet people. I am staying far away from Allegiant Stadium, but they're still selling some of those tickets. I put this on the show last week.
Mm-hmm.
They some nosebleed seats that they want $500-$700 for.
yeah, I think that's I mean, we were thinking about going to Vegas for WrestleMania, but we saw how much it was going to cost. It's just not worth it. It's just not.
Okay, dude. Here's the thing.
No, it's not worth it to me. I'm sorry.
Here is a pack of ketchup from my hot sauce from my meal later today. This is I'm not shitting you. If you look at the show a couple of weeks ago when I showed you because I put a link on there so you can see where you're sitting if you buy. This is the ring. And I'm like, and then now Allegiant Stadium has a nice big screen, but shit, I got a nice big screen here. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to stay home because I can meet these guys.
I think that's the biggest
I'll pay the money.
WWE currently, at least in this new era. It's just I feel like they're just charging so much money to go to their events now.
Dude, it was $500 for 2 tickets.
To go to Raw.
To go to Raw, $500.
Well, how were the seats? Did you take? Please tell me you took tons of pictures, Talati.
I took tons of pictures, videos. Okay. I got Rhea Ripley. I got a video of Rhea Ripley doing the Riptide on Bianca Belair and Io Sky. I got that. I got footage of my brother got footage of John Cena getting Crossroad. And
it's a good time, but I'm sorry if I'm gonna pay. It's gotten too expensive, and I can't remember them having problems this late in the game. And now they dropped the ticket prices, but you dropped them.
They dropped the ticket prices because they realized they were kind of pricing people out of going. That's why.
Yeah, but from $750 to $450
in August, they're coming to my hometown for Monday Night Raw. So I'm like, go again. Yeah.
I mean, I know there's going to be a lot of people that they save up all year for this. It's Vegas. But yeah, I'm not enthused about the WWE product to the point. Well, I'm not enthused about any product, to be honest with you, to pay that kind of money. Like I said, the only person cheaper than William Powell Jr. is William Powell Sr. and
Well,
I'm
at
cheap
least
enough.
today we can hopefully celebrate Swerve Strickland winning and putting an end to that.
Yeah, because oh my
Moxley
god, that
storyline. It's time to
storyline.
end it. It's time to end it.
Oh, it was time to end it like a year ago, maybe. I don't know how long it's gone on, but it's. I feel bad for John Moxley because he's been a workhorse for the company. I mean, but this is bad booking, and yeah, it needs to end, and they need to move on to something else. I wish Jay White hadn't got injured because I would like to see him come into the picture. But yeah, there's just a
Kevin
lot
Owens
going on.
wasn't injured either. That
Who?
sucks too. Kevin Owens.
Yeah, that neck injury.
Yeah.
That really sucks, but you can't mess around with neck injuries. You end up in a wheelchair. So, yeah, I've been having a lot of fun. Yeah, Minecraft. I'm looking into content. Listen, I have no desire or plan to see Minecraft, but whenever somebody takes a risk.
Surprised by how well it's done?
Huh?
Are you surprised by how well it's done?
No. Ever since Mario Brothers did what it did, these games strike people in a way that I don't understand, but I don't need to. But Minecraft
for Warner Brothers. It's huge.
Yeah, you told me you just throw a video game out there. Just throw me a popular video game out there right now. Just a basic one, not one that has a crap ton of story to it. You know, like a Last of Us type of deal. Even though that's been successful, but if you just throw out Pac-Man, if you told me there was a Pac-Man movie coming out, I'm going to tell you that movie's probably going to make $1 billion. If you told me there was an adventure movie, remember Adventure from Atari, that little shitty game with the arrow? If you told me,
or Pitfall.
Yeah, Pitfall or River Raid. If you told me a basic Tetris has a movie. Yeah, Space Invaders, $1 billion. Because it's basic. You don't have to tap into a story. Nobody's messing with you. Well, that's not the way the story is in the game. I can't believe that Abby looks like that. They're not going to do that. You don't have to hear about any of that stuff. It's squares, it's dots, and it's fun, and that's it. So, yeah, I'm not surprised that it did this well. I think it's silly, but once again, doesn't matter what I think. They didn't make it for me. They made it for a bunch of people.
Well,
kids are loving it.
I think the theaters are really happy. They needed a big movie this year because this year so far, box office has not been great. Warner Brothers needed.
They're going to have a good July.
Yeah, I mean, Warner Brothers needed this. This is a huge win for them. They probably have like a big hit movie again after Barbie. So I mean, it's good news all around. You know, even if you don't like the movie, it's good news.
And I like I said, because I think that you got so their last big they got a couple of releases. Their last big movies. I think I'm gonna guess, like I said last night, Superman is going to be the floor. Superman is 450. That's the floor. I think it's gonna
about 400 so far. Yeah, I would agree.
650 to 750. If it crosses that, if it gets into that territory. Like I said before, the contract for James Gunn needs to see at the bottom until you want to leave. Because where the brand damage has been since 2017 and how they've handled the IP, if you bring in that kind of money, that's a win. Now, my problem, like I've always said, is that you got these people who are not connected to the IP. If they were promised $1 billion, I hope that's not the conversation. But
what I was going to say, William, I wanted to ask you this. With the Minecraft performance and it likely doing
take the pressure off of it a little bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you. Like, if Minecraft crosses $1 billion because it's officially broken even, everything after this point.
Oh my God!
We're not taking all you, Clint. I'm just whenever you're ready to jump in, jump in.
Yeah, it's hard to jump in with everybody, but I mean, never mind. I won't go into why we're talking business on a comic book. But anyways, you've mentioned several times about how people get the Superman all goody two-shoe guy, and my statement where people get that from, and I've said it 3 times in chat, but it got missed every time, was the Russell Crowe speech in Man of Steel when he says you can be humanity's guiding light. They will follow you, and they'll stumble, they'll fall, but eventually they'll join you in the light. That's where I think people get it from.
I can go along with that, and like I said, I'm gonna stand on this, and it's only this character. Like, it does not apply to every character. When it comes to Superman, whatever version that you favor, in my opinion, is the right one. And
Of
like
course, yeah. I'm not arguing that. I'm just
I,
saying.
I understand where you're coming from. It's just a matter of and that's a good point that Russell Crowe. But when you look at the totality of the movie, where I have an issue is that somebody locks into a certain version and excludes another one when it comes to Superman. That's where I'm like, I mean, it doesn't need to be that way. And I in the tone of the conversation, like I said, if I probably have to mute some words because I don't want to be involved in a conversation where if you let's have a fun, loud conversation, that's no problem. I'm gonna mute you a little bit, RJ, because there's some background noise coming in. Let's have a fun conversation. It can get loud, it can get crazy, but at the end of the day, it's not personal. It is a fictional character now with a fucking dog with a cape. So we were even getting even more silly. You got to look at this and be like, hey, let's just have some fun.
If you've ever owned a dog, they do that all the freaking
Oh, yeah.
time. Find the injured part on you and jump on it.
Oh yeah, for sure.
They just want to play. They just want to play. They don't give a shit.
Yeah,
they
they
just
do.
want to play. The dog is money. Listen, I have no use for crypto anywhere ever on any medium, but as from a business standpoint, the dog is money. I am surprised I don't have Funkos already with crypto dragging him. I'm surprised there's not.
Give it a month or
Yeah.
two.
Here's the thing, RJ, and I saw your post about the marketing for it. The marketing is not poor for this movie. It's nowhere near as good as it could be. And
But the thing is though, real quick, because I want to get back to the question I had for you real quick. So Minecraft at this point, everything it's going to make from now on is pure profit. If that movie makes like $1 billion+, does that take pressure off the rest of Warner Brothers slate to make money? Not saying they don't want their other movies to make money, but there's less pressure now because they already have a hit that's bringing in the revenue.
Yeah, mathematically, yeah, that's how a business would run. That would be fine, and I hope it does, because I think there's just too much pressure being put on this one movie to do something that the entire studio needs to be balanced out to do. I mean, I don't like the home run approach for any business. I mean, I don't run a business. Any business, you should be diversifying what can make you money. So that if one thing, listen, the best laid plans fail. I don't know how many times I've done shit here and I'm like, oh, fuck, that sucked. But it's not the only thing that I'm like, okay, but I got these other things going on to where, I don't lose my ass. And, so it's the same thing with them. So I hope that Minecraft and any Sinners, I think Sinners is going to be a hit.
Well, especially because it's only made for like $90 million. So it doesn't even make a ton of money to turn a profit.
And it's got proven moneymaker. That's my next anticipated movie. I can't wait to see Sinners. Somebody told me it was like Dusk Till Dawn with some other movie that they said it was. The two movies that I really, I really enjoy. Dusk Till Dawn is something else that they were saying, and I'm like, damn, that's right. So Sinners is going to be fun. I think that whenever you market anything for DC from this point on, it can't just be about a movie. It's got to be about an entire atmosphere. Because if Superman is a hit, wow, great. But if you're talking about the entire brand needs to be exposed and on the level. We're gonna have an absolute Batman adaptation within the next 3 years, if not sooner. And that's what I want to see from
animated
DC.
or live action.
Live action cartoon. You're going to get an adaptation.
You get something, okay.
Yeah, you're going to get something. You're going to get either game. You're going to get something, and that's what DC needs to be. When I walk into a DC movie, I'm not just walking into a DC movie. I'm walking into a world. I'm walking into a world, and when I walk out of that movie, whatever cash I have, that gets spent on something DC. That dog, when they show up on July 7th, every one of those damn kids should have that damn fucking plushy dog.
Yeah. Well, with the marketing, the reason I said what I said on Twitter was because people were asking, like, why do they put that Superman clip in front of Minecraft? But I'm like, that clip, whether or not you like crypto, right? That clip, the way it was constructed,
you have a duck brother in here.
It's going to connect with the same kind of audience that's going to see Minecraft. Kids and families eat up that dog. They do. And I think
people love dogs.
Box office Minecraft pull it in. It makes a lot more sense if they put it with that movie.
This right here, I don't think DeLuca and Abdi's jobs really needed saving. I think a lot of that is BS. I think a lot of that is rumors. Their profit margin. Listen, everybody has a bad day out the office, but overall, what they've done, I don't think their job should have ever been in danger. But that's just me. Let's see. I'm just looking at some of the chat to see how you doing, Ray. You can join in, Ray. You're a patron if you want to join in.
Williams Fly says me and my brother should form a tag team and challenge you and Brad for the Sci-Fi Center title.
Brad's a martial artist. Listen. I'm not. I know I joke around, but I'm letting Brad take some of those hits. I'm 6'2", 250. I'm gonna get a punch in, and if I land a lucky one, you might. Hey, you know what? You know, if I'm cornered, the fight or fightless, I'd rather avoid confrontation. I'm not a guy who wants to come in. I don't want to throw dukes or anything. But if there have been situations to where, sometimes it's like, okay, you're going to have to be 6'2", 250, and maybe that's going to have to work. But once you start fighting and once you start throwing down, anything can happen. Somebody picks up a knife, a chair, you get hit in the wrong space, or you hit somebody. This is my biggest fear about getting into a fight, to be honest with you, 100%, is me doing something irreparable to someone else. Me putting someone in a wheelchair or me doing worse. Nah, I'd rather than I got to go to jail. I got to lose all my money. Fuck that. So yeah, we're just gonna walk away. And you want to have your macho moment? I'm like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm forgetting who you were. Yeah,
I can't tell you how many times I've been called chicken from walking away, and I don't care.
Yeah, hey, it's not. By the way, it's not duck season. It's rabbit season. Just putting it out there.
Oh, don't tell him that, because he'll have an emoji or he'll have a symbol with a rabbit and a chick. How are you feeling, by the way, Clint?
April 18th will be a good day. That's Superman Day. I feel like that's when they're going to release that second trailer. That's when they're probably going to show off toys and stuff, merchandise.
There's been no trailer, RJ. There has been no trailer.
I almost feel good enough to go outside again.
Shit. Good. I'm glad to see guys. It was touch and go there for a little bit. Touch and go for a little bit.
Wait, what do you mean there hasn't been a trailer yet?
There has been no trailer. That's been we've had a teaser and a clip.
December.
Huh?
The one before in December. Isn't that taking
That's a teaser.
That's a teaser.
That's a teaser.
Trailer.
Well,
different. Okay, guys. The difference between a trailer, and this is really important. A teaser can go on for 5 minutes. It's mixed up stuff. It's got some music in there. It's got some visions and everything else, and it's got the high spots in it. A trailer, no matter what the length is, gives you premise, dialogue, and story structure. That's
so you feel like something like has like a little more meat on the bone.
Yeah. So right now we don't know the premise. If you don't know the premise of the movie so far, you haven't seen. And I don't think, by the way, Lex Luthor, I think, is a villain in this movie. I don't think, and I'm just guessing, I don't think Lex Luthor is the villain in this movie. So, and a trailer will probably show you a little bit of that. So teasers are cool, but like I said, and this is weird to be this close to the movie and not have an outright trailer. I'm all right with it because, like I said, I would have marketed it a different way. I don't think the way that they are doing it's going to hurt them because, like I said, the dog is the wild card. The dog is what you listen. The parents could say this movie sucks. This movie is worse than whatever. It doesn't matter. It's their kids with that damn plushy dog are going to drag them back to that theater.
It's like Minecraft
3 times. Yeah,
it's like Minecraft.
I gave away those little goofy swords, the little pixelated swords. Gave away those. Go see them, dude. They did that like 10 a.m. in the morning. By the way, what the fuck? Anyway, I wasn't going to go see it anyway, but I damn sure wasn't getting up because that means I got to get up at 8. No, it's not happening. But yeah, I listen. Good job with Minecraft. It looks as silly. I'm not a big Jack Black fan in anything, but you know what? It doesn't. As long as it works for them. Sinners is next for me. And when it comes to this whole Superman DC thing, listen, guys. And I put the scroll. Listen, I think. Do I have the scroll down here from last night? Listen, this is this is the goal here. This is the goal. This is all that really matters to me at this point. At some point, I'm going to get tired. I'm going to get tired of talking about Superman. I already kind of am. But I know
my power.
I know the road.
Listen, you just got to get to January of next year.
William, I'm trying to get Jared on side here, trying to get him on Lantern side. He's not happy about it.
Did you tell him who's doing it?
Yes.
Oh my. He doesn't like Lindelof. He doesn't like King. Well, I know he has a problem with King.
Yeah, people don't like Tom King. That's the one people don't like.
I have the same problems, not as extreme as Jared is. I have some of the same problems with Tom King's Wonder Woman. I understand him there, but his other stuff has been brilliant. I'm on board with him. I mean, Supergirl. Somebody told me that Tom King can't write. You know, he doesn't like writing women, or he can't write women. I'm like, have you read Woman of Tomorrow? That's an entirely woman-centric story, and he does a great job there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Wonder Woman,
Well, it's
I
also-
understand.
There's also Chris Mundy is one of the showrunners too. He did Ozark for Netflix with Jason Bateman.
Yeah, and Ozarks is like I say, all the people they got a wish list. Like if you watch my show when they first announced the slate, and me and Brad were talking about if who do you want to get on this? They literally got the two people. Some of these other guys, the Ozark guy, he wasn't on my list, but that's great. Tom King and Limla, those are the two people. I swear, I'm like they need, and I held up the books, and when they announced that was them, I'm like, listen, Superman could be dog shit. Superman could be Mystery Men dog shit. Don't care. What do I need to do, DC, to get to damn it? Because if you haven't watched Watchmen, it's one of the great motion television movie things that they've done. Period. Watchmen was brilliant. I was left hanging, and the way Lindelof had left me hanging at that final episode, and I've been waiting. That's been in 2019. I've been waiting for him to do some superhero shit since then, and now he's back, and it's Green Lantern, and they're patterning it after a show on HBO that I love. You mentioned True Detective. I know people got mixed feelings about one season or another season. I love True Detective. This last season of True Detective was brilliant, and it had this last season of True Detective had every reason for me to lose me. The story, everything. There were so many elements. I'm like, okay, this is going to bore my eyeballs out of my head. And it didn't. I don't like the reasoning of how it wrapped up. I won't spoil it for you, but it didn't matter. They did such a good job with that overall series that even though that reasoning of what was going on was sort of a letdown, it made sense and it didn't hurt the show. Jodie Foster won an Emmy for that, and she deserved it. And I now you're gonna give me superheroes with that? I'm in, man.
I'm all in,
Yeah.
as they say.
Even if Guy Gardner is not confirmed to be in the show.
I'm okay with that because here's the thing, and I think Guy Gardner is a ridiculous looking character. He's designed to be ridiculous. However, in the hands of the right storyteller, you can go deep with Guy Gardner. There are stories that I have on here. In fact, there's a comic that I pulled out where it's probably one of the deeper Guy Gardner stories out there, and it's a Justice League America. And I hate that book with a passion. Here it is. Let me see. I think I have it. All right, so there are examples where Guy Gardner. There are elements in Guy Gardner's character that can be fleshed out. Once you get past the ridiculousness of the bowl cut, once you get past his attitude and the goofy boots that he wears and his goofy costume and some of the obscene stuff that he does, once you start telling a story with him, you can do it. Unfortunately, over the past 30 or 40 years, it hasn't been done like 10% of the time. I think James Gunn can do something with this character, and I damn sure think that Lindelof and King can do something with the character. I think you could have a Peacemaker level type situation there where Peacemaker has every reason. I look at Peacemaker, he's got a toilet on his head, and he's got goofy pants pulled up to his navel. He's got a goofy shirt. He's got a dub. I have every reason to just say, this is not worth my time. And those first two episodes were awful. The third episode was mostly awful. But as we got into the end of the third episode and into that fourth episode, where he figures out what his dad did to him, and that from that point on, I actually gave a shit. Polka Dot Man looks absurd. But when he tells his story, I'm like, dude, I feel for this guy. Then he dies. Literally 2 seconds after I gave a shit about him, he's dead.
Polka Dot Man was the greatest thing about that movie.
Yeah, when he turned and because he was always trying to, he had issues with his mom, and
He saw his mom everywhere.
That was great. That was great when he saw his mom around the corner, and then he finally resolves his issues with his mom. I'm like, dude, as I'm thinking, you know what? Damn, I'm rooted. Damn, he's dead. Literally, as I finished that thought in my head, Starro kills him, and then I'm like, oh fuck, man. But he made me care about that character. I cared about Peacemaker. Ratcatcher and her father overdosing, all that. So you can take a ridiculous character, and if you are a good storyteller, so I'm not afraid of Guy Gardner. Would I rather not have him in the show? Yeah, because if you open up the door to Guy Gardner, you open up the door to Nort and every other ridiculous Green Lantern. There's 3,600 lanterns, and some of them look. I shit you not. There's one that looks like a pickle with arms, with one eye. That's a Green Lantern. There are just so many ridiculous ways you can go with this. So yeah, the potential for silliness is there, but also the potential to tell a decent story with him is there. So no, I'm not afraid of a Guy. And like I said, there's just no way. There's just no way. I think that when you amass a certain amount of talent, when you amass this type of talent together that has done this kind, you kind of like layer yourself with like insurance of you cannot tell. I don't think Damon Lindelof, outside of Lost, and only 2 seasons of Lost, can tell a bad story with these characters. I just don't think. I think this is a win. You don't have all the stupid ass elements that were at the end of Lost too, and some of that was J.J. Abrams' fault. Because the last 2 years of Lost, I tried to tell people, go ahead and put your cup on, because you're about to get kicked in the nats. I see where the story's going, and it's gonna suck at the end. And wow, the last episode of Lost, I had let go of that show to the point where I wasn't as mad as a lot of the people who were watching that ending.
Mm-hmm.
That ending sucked, man.
What do you
That
think the
ending
ending of
was-
Sopranos?
No, I thought my cable box had gone off. I was watching
Right,
that.
like everyone says that back in the day. I remember people hated the ending of Sopranos back in the day. Like people were pissed. Like, what? You just cut to black?
I called my dad. I'm like, hey, because we were all watching live. Did your TV just go out? And I was flipping the other channels. I'm like, okay, all the other channels are good. And it went black. It went black for a while. It wasn't just black for a couple of seconds. It went black for a while. And then they started with the things. That one
It was
moment,
a terrible ending.
yeah, that one moment really pissed me off, because especially with all the people, and I recognized all those people that were coming in the bar. I'm like, because I love Sopranos. And when you see the people walking in and she's trying to park and all this, and she walks in and stops, I reach for my remote. I'm like, okay, what the hell's going on? Am I going to have to call Cox? Am I going to have to call? And then everybody was going through it. I'm like, that pissed me off. But it didn't go on. Every season of Sopranos was great until, then. And that episode, Made in America, was one of the best episodes. The ending pissed me off. But I had waited ever since the introduction of Phil Lotaro to fucking get killed. I could not stand him. I was like, if you kill him, the show's a success for me. They made a character out of him that I hated. I hated everything about Phil. Phil was an asshole. And I'm like, I was always wondering, when's Phil getting whacked? When is Phil getting whacked? And it was never happening. And then sorry, spoiler, it's been out. It's 2006. It's literally, what, 20 years? Is that 20 years almost?
About,
Almost
Yeah.
20 years. Almost 20 years.
When they got him at the gas station, I jumped up. I'm like, yeah, because that guy was a fucker. And I was like, you have to die. There's no way you can live. And he did a great job playing that character. And when they got his ass at the end, I was like, there can do no wrong. No matter who gets killed at the end, as long as Phil goes, I'm good. And when they got his ass, I was like,
My favorite episode of The Sopranos is called Employee of the Month.
why does that name? What was that one about?
It was one where the psychiatrist got raped.
Yeah.
And she had to fight the temptation of telling Tony Soprano all throughout the show.
Yeah, and then
that was great. It was.
I loved her session at the end of that. Remember her session at the end of that when she's talking to her psych or her friend, and she's like, "Oh, how come you didn't?" She just said, "Just knowing that I could gave me comfort." And that was like, yeah.
And then how it ended, it's like she's crying, and then he's like, "Are you all right? Do you need something?" And she just said, "No." And then that
would have been hilarious if she said, "You know what? This guy raped me in the stairwell here," and Tony would have killed him. Tony would have. And one of my favorite.
No, Tony wouldn't have killed him. He would have dragged him through the streets for a while, then or salt on him, then killed him.
Put a rat in his mouth, man. When Tony killed people, he was vicious. But one of the I loved every episode of that show, and then when it went off like that way, I was ready for it to be over. I was just wanting a better last fucking 2 minutes in that, but I really love that show. And then there's a couple of things that Tony, as defined his issues that he had, and stuff that would get a normal mobster killed. If you're seeing a psychiatrist, I've watched mob shows and mob documentaries. Like Tony would have been in the trunk somewhere because he's given up secrets to somebody who could expose them. So that's why it was so important. But that's like the perfect show. That to me, that's one of the shows that set that Sunday night standard. Now that Lanterns, if they put it on Sunday nights, which I think they are going to, is kept up or going to keep up. Just like when you're putting something on that Sunday night slot, you're telling me you're not fucking around. You're telling me you have high hopes for that show. You got Game of Thrones thoughts about that show. You got Sopranos. You got Oz. You got 6 Feet Under, because every show since the late 90s that they put on there. Leftovers, by the way, if you haven't seen Leftovers, it may not be the pace that a lot of people like, but man, it's got that mind fucking intrigue about it. That's like, and then that last episode of Leftover, Lindelof did it to me again. Lindelof, he likes doing that to you guys. He gives you enough, but then he wants you to think about it. I'm like, dude, I don't know if
you have to decide whether or not she's telling the truth or lying.
Yeah, exactly. I've decided she was telling the truth. That's what I've told myself. I've decided that she's telling the truth about that. And I love that monologue, by the way. That whole episode is about, when she comes back and she's all old and she's talking, that monologue and that story that she's telling, and they give you no other reason. You have to make a decision to take her word or not. And then he just leaves it. Just like Watchmen and the egg. You're going to leave me hanging like that? And then a few months later, tell me that HBO wanted more, but you're like, I don't think I have any more story to tell. I'm like, dude, fucking find a story. Here, come to the store. I'll hand you some shit. And he didn't want to do it. And I'm like, we could have got a season 2 of Watchmen. And I have to respect his decision, but I'm like, God damn it, that's the way you're going to end it? Because remember, how long is it for a spoiler? It's been 6 years, almost 7 years now. Dr. Manhattan, Dr. Manhattan dies in a bullshit way, by the way, that Dr. Manhattan cannot be killed in, but I'm okay with that. That's the decision he made. And he puts all of his power in an egg, and then, she consumes the egg, the one egg that didn't break, and that's supposed to be the one that has the power. And then now she's allegedly supposed to be Dr. Manhattan. But then and they show him standing on water when they first reveal it's Dr. Manhattan. She said, this is going to be important for you to remember later. And that's when she steps on the water, but you never see her hit the water. And I'm like, when he cut it off like that, Mom, you son of a bitch. You're like a drug. You gave me the drug, and then you snatched it off the table and ran out of the room, and now I got to chase you. And hopefully I get a resolution of that. I love the Watchmen, and I loved what they did with Dr. Manhattan. If he can do that, man, and just imagine what he's going to. Anybody who has any doubt of what Damon Lindelof can do with Lanterns, go watch those 9 episodes. Let's look at the chat here. Like I said, no topic, guys. Anything else on your guys' mind? RJ?
I mean, Nintendo.
The Watchmen. Sorry.
Go ahead, Clint.
The Watchmen. It was great by the time you got to the end, but for non-comic book guys like me, I'm like, what the fuck is going on with this squid? What the hell?
Yeah, that's a weakness. That is a weakness of it that I obviously wouldn't be able to relate to, but I can understand where you're coming from, because the squid was very important to the story, and it's hilarious because the one decision that Zack Snyder made when he removed the squid, he removed it because there was just no time to tell that story. In episode 5, A Little Fear of Lightning, where what's the guy? I can't remember, the mirror face dude. You know what I'm talking about, the cop. He goes through this whole thing as a kid, and it's on the night that the squid monster fucks up the city. and he's in New Jersey. He's far enough away from it to be saved, and they actually show it, and that's where he gets all of his conspiracy theories and stuff from because of all that and the way they hid that. There was no time to tell that story, and even though you had a 2 hour and 45 minutes, so I love the way that they did this. They did the Squid story with Jeremy Irons, and they explained, why, because he keeps that fear going that otherwise humanity was going to slip back into where it was in the Cold War. But yeah, Clint is right. You would need context of Watchmen to understand that. But yeah, that was one of the things, and like I didn't realize that at first because I'm like, I know all this shit. But yeah, somebody coming on, they didn't necessarily make that series immediately accessible to non-nerds, but man, it's great. All right. So my only problem with the conversation of licensing is why would I want to buy something that's failing even when it means licensing it? Because you get it at a cheap price. You get it at a cheap price. And you get it at a discount.
Yeah, I thought of something actually. At CinemaCon, Warner Brothers revealed that they're making new animated Looney Tunes movies. Are you surprised by that?
As the distributor, who's actually producing them? Are they
the way that they made it seems that they're going to distribute a new animated Looney Tunes movie?
Okay, that's different.
The way that they made it sound, at least at CinemaCon, that could change, but like they said, they're making Flintstones, Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes.
Okay, are they partnering with Hanna-Barbera, and who's paying for it? See, that's the thing. The distributor doesn't have to really.
They were very vague. All they said is that's a new Looney Tunes movie. So.
If they are the distributors and not the producers and not the ones fronting the money, doesn't surprise me at all. That's where they should be with their animation. If they are shelling money into it, that means that they have looked at it and they refined their operation. Remember, the movies that they inherited, they had too much money spent on them, and they couldn't justify the distribution and the advertisement and everything else. They were going to lose money. But if now they're making movies, so now we're not talking about a $70 million Wile E. Coyote movie, and maybe we're talking about a $20 million, Flintstone movie or something, or Hanna-Barbera, then yeah, that makes business sense. But the movies that they canned were movies that they inherited. They inherited bad decisions. So if they're making their own decisions and they're like, okay, we're going to make this within our means and our budget, then I could go along with that. But more than likely, other people are fronting the money for these things, which is fine. That's what Warner Brothers needs to get involved in. Let somebody else take the risk. Don't lose your ass on things that aren't making money for you.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like the DC animated movies at DC Studios is doing a good idea? The theatrical ones?
Yeah, if they are connected to the current DCU or the premises right. You have to have the draw. It's going to be on a case by case basis. It's going to have to be something that draws. Like I said, an Absolute Batman animated movie would be gold because I just giving away. But don't make just a random movie that just doesn't have. Or if you're connecting it to your DCU, I think it makes sense. But there's got to be a plan, and right now everything going forward is not inherited stuff. It's their plan. So even though they canned other aspects of animation, doesn't mean that they will completely be turned off going forward because it's under their plan.
The dynamic duo movie that they're making, that James Gunn and Matt Reeves are producing for DC Studios, I don't think it's connected to the DCU, but they're still putting a lot of money and focus into it still.
Well, when you say a lot of money,
well, at least a lot of they're putting a lot of effort into financially supporting the puppetry and the animation techniques. They're putting a decent amount of money into it. We don't know exactly how much, but
as long as it's within, they looked at the dollar and said, okay, this is what we can afford to do. This is what we can afford to invest in it, advertising, everything else. It's theirs now. Everything that happens with Dynamic Duo is under their plan. They look at their budget. They look at what they have available. They look at who they can get involved. So then that's a good idea if you want to do that. But like I said, the problem is you had people greenlighting things in the previous regime that had no financial path, and then they inherited, and then you wonder why the company was hemorrhaging billions of dollars. But I would, if they're going forward with this, that means there's a viable plan in place to get their money back or to at least limit their risk. So that's fine with me. I'll go see it.
Not till 2028 though. It's still 3 years away.
Yeah, I'm trying to get to 2025. I'm trying to get through April of 2025. So yeah.
Yeah, Spider-Verse, so it's still 2 years away.
Yeah, and you know what? Oh well, that's a hurtful topic. Sinners is going to be a big hit. Black Books are going to show up. Yes, we are. This is helpful for the look at them, in my opinion. Like I said, I think they're fine. Listen, Black folks, we don't have a lot, guys. When it comes, and that does matter. Representation does matter in horror because it's relatability. What will Black folks do with Jason? I'm gone. I'm not even there. Because here's the thing. When we watch Friday the 13th, part 3, I am not rolling in the direction if I pass a corner in an ambulance and I see a dead body getting loaded in, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Why am I even here? This is 3. 2 sets of people have already been slaughtered. Let me out here. I'm going to walk back. I'm not even hitchhiking back. Fuck that, because they all die. They all die. We're going to be like, you know what? I love you guys. If you guys make it out alive, hey, it's back in the 80s. Send me a postcard from Crystal Lake and tell me all that. But you know what? We're gonna mitigate our risk. I'm going back to the hood. I'm going back to the city.
Almost every horror movie I watch, I think of that insurance commercial where it says, "Why don't we just get in the running car?"
Oh, the chain.
Oh, yeah. That
William,
guy that's great.
I've already said to Forth that I'll be doing Terrifier 4 when that releases. I'm doing that. I'm doing one, two. I'm doing
I've
1,
never
2,
seen any
3,
of those movies, so
I'm doing 1, 2, 3, and 4 back to back again.
I went to Terrifier 3 for you, my adoring public, my audience. All right. I went to that movie and I could not wait to get the hell out of that movie. It was fun seeing the people and the crowds, and because it has a following, and I can appreciate they made a movie that they knew their audience would love. I'm not that audience, but man, they were kids in that audience, dressed as Art Decotte. I shit you not.
There were kids?
There were kids dressed as
Art
the Clown.
Oh,
and
no.
I'm like, okay, I don't even need to know what goes on in this movie. I've seen the previous 2. What are you doing here? But then again, I'm a hypocrite because guess what I was watching at 7 and 8? I was watching Jason squeeze a guy's head Jason hit a guy's head or squeezed his head so tight that his eyeballs, and I enjoyed this. His eyeball popped out in 3D, man. Could you imagine? 8-year-old me was like blown away. That made my year. The way Jason kills people in Friday the 13th, part 3 in 3D, and
very
it's
creative.
Not Jaws 3D. It's good 3D. So, yeah, you're bringing your kid to Terrifier, and he's done some awful things. It's much more graphic, but then again, like I said, if I'm going to assume and trust my dad put everything in context when he took us to these horror movies, and I didn't turn out to be a serial killer. I don't use chainsaws on people. And so I'm assuming that these, if you're bringing your kid to Terrifier, your kid, your sin.
You could have used chainsaws last night on a Fat Burger.
Yeah, that really fucked up my night, by the way.
Yeah.
Why did you have to bring that up? That pissed me off.
Oh.
I was so happy last night. Saturday is my favorite day of the week. Had a good Saturday.
Yeah.
Had good weather, was great. Had good walkthrough. And I'm like, I earned a Fat Burger, right? I asked myself, did I earn a Fat Burger today? And inner me said, yes, you did.
I was wondering why there was no moving watch along on Saturday. I was like thinking, wait. We have no.
No, I was yeah. I had to take care of kids. So I'm like, we get to the show, and I have my Fat Burger here. I'm assuming, I'm like, it's a little bit light, but I'm assuming it's not. I haven't been robbed yet. So we're talking on the show, and I look over, and I'm like, let's go ahead and take this out and take a look at it because I like to show you guys, what Fat Burger is. And then I open this up, and it's missing a patty. You could have vomited on it, and it would have been the same emotional effect to me. It's missing a patty. There was some bacon, by the way, for those of you who are asking. There was a piece, like a half piece of bacon, when it was supposed to be more. There was some cheese on it. The wrong cheese was on it. My onions weren't there. My A1, none of the stuff that makes my egg wasn't there. None of that stuff was there. It looked like a glorified Big Mac, and I was like, I was hot, and I sent them a picture of it, that atrocity, and they took care of me. Now, I still had to go out and get something else to eat because, I'm sorry, guys, a 2-patty Fat Burger, that's literally a third of the weight that's not there. You might as well just starve me. So I went out and got something. I went out to the little street taco place here that is on Clint, you'll know where this is. It's right where Desert Inn just before you go into the underpass, there's that little neighborhood there. And it's the weirdest place to do tacos, but it's got a line and everybody loves it. So I waited in the line. I got a little burrito to go with my little Big Mac, and everything was fixed. But yeah, I could have AT&T me would have gone berserk. All right. Cox Cable me would have gone berserk because those people have screwed me. I think there's a sport somewhere. There's a bet where it's like, hey, let's screw this guy because they've done it multiple times. Fatburger's generally taking care of me though, so you guys need to hear that. You didn't need to hear the horror that I went through that.
Real quick, I wanted to ask you too about the Spider-Man stuff with the Brand New Day. Like, how you feeling about it overall?
I'm hoping like any MCU storyline that they loosely adapted because Brand New Day is the beginning of mediocre Spider-Man for me. It's the beginning of really, it's the beginning of wow. It's really hard to sell this book. And Brand New Day.
Do you think it's going to tie into Doomsday? Or you think it's going to kind of be standalone?
No, I think that there'll be an end credits that may tie into Doomsday. You've already done the tone of the multiverse in Spider-Man to where your watchers are going to already understand that Spider-Man's definitely going to be involved, but I don't think this particular movie is going to be it. That Spider-Man is definitely going to be tied to Secret Wars, but yeah. I think that
I would like if this movie was standalone first. Like, just let's do a standalone adventure before he joins up with the Avengers and Secret Wars. You know?
Yeah. All three of his movies need to be standalone adventures. They can still be connected, but they can't be controlled by that because you can take him and put him in those group movies and use your Spider-Man. The originals, the first three Spider-Man movies, for the most part, I don't like them. I don't hate them, but I don't like them for a lot of reasons. Spider-Man No Way Home was great for a lot of reasons. It got back to Spider-Man, and that last scene where he's flying around in that classic Ditko costume, and he's on his own. He's made his own costume. He's his own man, and now he can reconnect with anyone he wants to in the way that Spider-Man originally would. I love that, and it's been like 10 years since we've had No Way Home, it seems like. So I want all the next Spider-Man movies to be within his thing. And then when you're ready to throw him out in Avengers, go ahead.
How do you feel about the rumors of Mr. Negative being the villain?
Not my choice. Not
a fan of Mr. Negative?
No, not for this particular story. And here's why: is because of No Way Home. I want to see Norman Osborn become the Green Goblin because that to me puts a story in place that Peter Parker knows the eventuality of this, and I think I want the story to be him trying to prevent things, and then the inevitability that he can't change it, and Norman Osborn becomes a Green Goblin, and I want him to befriend Harry Osborn because he's gonna know that he may not know what ends up happening with Harry as a Green Goblin, but he knows he's going to have to fight his father to the death, and it's going to put him in a tangle. And I think that's where a great story is. That's what I would do. Mr. Negative, I'm fine with that. But I also think that I think because of what happened in No Way Home with that Green Lantern, I think Green Lantern, that Green Goblin, that Green Goblin, I would love to see that story in Spider-Man 4. I would love to see Black Cat in Spider-Man 4. I would love to see the people because we're out of the high school age. I would love to see the Empire State Peter. That's just me, but you know what? I'm ready for whatever the storyteller has ready for me. So,
just no Dr. Doom.
Nah, Dr. Doom doesn't need to be. Dr. Doom needs to be in Fantastic Four. He needs to be all over Fantastic. There's no way that Robert Downey Jr. is not Fantastic Four.
If he is, he's in a post-credit scene.
No.
You think he's going to? I
think Fantastic Four is in the movie.
Really?
Yeah, I think Fantastic Four is in or Fantastic Four. Yeah, they're definitely going to be in the movie. I think that he's I think he's the main villain. I think he is
over
the main
Galactus.
Villain. Yeah, because here's why. I think I'm going through on my bullshit reel. There's nothing based. This is just my mind working as comic book geek. So I have no inside anything. So take it for a grain of salt. I think that Galactus is Franklin Richards. I think that's the Earth X. They're telling that version of the Earth X story because Shelley Ball being being Silver Surfer and what she being the one to take Galactus's offer, that's Earth X. And then the Galactus, if you read Earth X, which I need to get back on the shelf here, that Galactus is Franklin Richards. I think the Galactus that we see in this movie is Franklin Richards. And I
Isn't
think
Franklin Richards the baby that they're gonna have in the movie?
yes, but remember what Galactus is. What his powers are. He with every time a universe is resurrected, universe, he's a cosmic egg and all that stuff, and they can write it that way. They can make it to where somehow that version of a Galactus is aware, is cosmically aware that he has to become Galactus or something like that. I think Doctor Doom is going to try to usurp Galactus's powers, much in the way Korvac did, and it's going to fail, and it's going to lead to the collapse of that universe. And that's going to they're going to escape they're going to use the quantum zone to escape into the 616. And I think Dr. Doom is going to do the same thing, but he's going to end up face to face with Loki, or he's going to get close enough to Loki to where he's like, okay, I fucked this up with Galactus. You're sitting on a throne with all of time in your hand. I want your power, just like you wanted the Beyonder's power. So I think that, but he's not going to be able to directly get to him. He'll have enough of the power cosmic to cause problems, but I don't think he'll have enough of the power cosmic to take out Loki. He will have to recruit villains throughout time. Loki is going to see that because he has all time in his hands. So he's going to recruit his own people throughout the multiverses, the Fox verses, and all that to fight Doctor Doom. That is going to be your Secret War. That'll be your battle royal. I have nothing to base this on other than my inner geek. That's the way I think it's going to happen. And I think if that's the case, Doom is in that movie. Dr. Doom that's where he originates. I think Victor Von Doom originates in their universe.
Do you think there's a reason why it's Robert Downey Jr.? Or do you think it's just...
I think I think there is a reason why it's Robert Downey Jr. I think something happens to Tony Stark, whether it be metaphysical or whatever. Something happens to them, and I'm leaving it up to them to explain it. They may not explain it the way I think they did in the comics, but I think there is something. There's either a composite reason why they're doing it, or something happens to Tony Stark at an early age, and he's renamed. There's a bunch of different ways you can. There's a bunch of different ways you can tell the story. I don't know quite what the way they're going to do it, but there's a reason why they. There's a reason why they did it. Yeah. I don't want to get sued, and I don't want to end up in jail. Listen, I'm not a tough guy. Like I'm not the kind of guy that's going to do well. I will break in the county lockup. I've watched enough prison shows and stuff like that to know I don't want to be there.
He doesn't want to do a Ric Flair. That's what he doesn't want to do.
Yeah, I don't want to be in there with killers and people who are in there for multiple times, and this is their second time, their second stint in, and here I am. Oh, what are you going for? Oh, I punched some guy in a fight over some bullshit. No, not William. William is a very stickler with it. Yeah, because I think it raises and lowers expectations. Like I said, you haven't seen a trailer yet. You've seen some stuff, but that's not a trailer. And like I said, by definition, a trailer gives you dialogue. And the only thing that we've had him talking to Crypto and then Lex turning around and saying he's back. That's it. That's not a trailer. That's a teaser. That's footage. That's fine. But a trailer, when we watch the trailer, if it's on the 18th, when we leave that trailer, we're going to be like, okay, now I understand. We don't give the movie away, but I understand the premise. That's a trailer. So it's semantics, I guess. And I guess a lot of people will say trailers, but a teaser did exactly what it was supposed to do. Got the conversation going, showed you the dog, showed you the costume, which I hate. I'm sorry, James Gunn, if you were ever watching my streams. I tried to love that costume. I hate that costume every time I see it. I don't like it in any fashion. But you know what? It does the job. The only thing that costume has to do for the general audience is that Superman. It's recognizable as Superman. That's fine. Once again, polka dot man, toilet head. The costume doesn't make the movie. The story does.
Toilet head.
That's what I call Peacemaker. Yeah, foam swords. I had some foam swords I gave away. It's anything you guys want to talk to. Bring up something. Let's scroll in the chat.
Yeah, I did have something, but I don't think
Go
I
ahead.
want to talk about it. Which
Go ahead.
was
It's open. It's your Patreon. Go ahead. Go ahead.
So I wanted to talk about the Nintendo 2 Switch
Oh, fuck
2.
no. All right. I don't even know why I said yes to that. No, I'm just kidding.
The price gone up.
I'm not. Listen. This is going to be a you and RJ. I'm not a gamer. I'm not a Nintendo. I know what's going on with the Switch and the tariffs, and I've never seen
The
these
tariff
video
situation is really bad.
These
It's
video
really,
gamers
really
are ready
bad.
to go out and cut some fools.
I
I'm
really
like,
wanna. I want to be.
I'm a PC gamer, not a console gamer.
Yeah. So here's the thing. I will tell you this when it comes to tariffs. If
Yeah.
these go through, a guy like me is fucked. I live in a city where you come to as a luxury. If you can't afford mayonnaise and cheese sandwiches, you ain't coming to Vegas if the prices are up. It's just not going to happen. And if you do come to Vegas under those constrictions, you go less places, you spend less places, you contribute less to the economy. So tariffs are a strategic tool to use in a negotiation, but you have to have a negotiation going on, and there has to be something to get. The problem, and when I don't need to get political. This is stuff you learn in third grade.
Yeah.
Where tariffs are not going to work with us is the buying power and the demand that the U.S. has. We are the biggest consumer. We are the demand. Coffee saying wherever Indonesia, wherever coffee beans come from, we are the ones with the demand for a coffee. So putting a tariff on that company is stupid. We're the demand. And when you're talking about cars and parts and stuff like that, we're the biggest consumer. So it's an imbalance. You can't ask for equal circumstances all the time for somebody if they know you have the demand and there's nothing they can offer you. There's nothing Bangladesh can offer me trade-wise. There's no volume there. So there's nothing to negotiate. China's a different thing because we do have a trade imbalance with them, and we do have a trade issue. You can use tariffs to negotiate them, not 25 and 35%, and you have to scale them in. They have to be on specific things. But across the board, it's a bad deal. Now, the problem with any tariff is us.
Those penguins better pay them tariffs.
Penguins, man, you put a tariff on them. Yeah, but that's silly. But we're going to leave that alone. Here's the problem with tariffs, and here's the problem with inflation and anything like that is the American consumer. The tariffs don't work because you have no leverage. You can't say, well, I'm doing this to bring factory workers and all these jobs back to America when the American consumer doesn't want to pay that. If you bring them back here, you're going to be paying a union wage. You're going to be paying somebody 22, 25 starting what they're actually worth. You're not going to do that. What that's going to do is that's going to transfer over to us as prices. And at the end of the day, no matter how we feel about buy America, make America, we want cheap shit. We want the cheapest shit that we can get. We want it quick, we want it cheap, and we don't want it disrupted. So you're never going to have that leverage of saying, well, I'm going to stop buying from you. If the guy making $3 a day, it fits into the price. And it's not just the fat corporate cats, it's us. We want cheap stuff. And as long as we want cheap stuff, there's a lot of global problems you're not going to fix. We're the biggest buyer in the world.
So I wanted to ask you, volume ones for Absolute Batman, Absolute Superman, Absolute Wonder Woman. When does this impact your shop by any chance in terms of?
It could. It's going to impact everything that has to do with anything. And one of the things that people need to understand about inflation and tariffs and things going up, like if you hear inflation on auto parts is going to go up and you think it doesn't affect you, it does affect you. If you think produce and things like that, prices going up, inflation, tariffs don't affect you, they do. Even if something is specifically aimed at and targeted, it affects everything because there's this thing that a lot of people don't realize called the supply chain. So everything you want is connected to something else. So if you affect the supply chain here, even if you think you're not, affected by it personally, you are indirectly affected by everything that happens. So when somebody says a tariff doesn't affect me or something or inflation, it does. You just don't know it because you've never had to follow the path. But that supply chain,
there's staples, ink, paper,
trees, dude. You put a tariff on Canada, I believe I have to look. 80%, 87% of our lumber and paper products are go back and forth between us and Canada. So I'm affected just by that.
The reason why I ask is basically because I owe you money for the volume 1, because when that comes out, I'm gonna have to pay you.
I would worry about that because, like I said, I could wake up tomorrow. And they're like, you know what, we're calling this stuff off. We're sending this. We've seen the effect, and we're going to be like, no.
Yeah. Well, Switch 2 especially, it's very sad because Nintendo moved their production to Vietnam to try and get away from the tariffs, but then the Vietnam tariffs came in.
Then he laid one on Vietnam, which was
Yeah.
what? Why are you okay? Dude, Vietnam can give you nothing. They can't buy. What are they buying from us in that bulk to where that the trade imbalance is going to affect us?
Well, what are the
The
paintings
price of the
buying?
labor. Like, oh my goodness, it's going to get bad if people
Well,
are going to have
it's
to look
going
at
to
it and be
impact
like,
the video game industry tremendously because
going to crush
the,
the video game
the
industry.
ESA was saying that these tariffs could cause like the whole industry to shatter. Like you're increasing the prices for everything, like exponentially. Everything's going to go up.
Yeah, it's going to, like I said, you may think that it won't affect you, but trust me, if you eat and breathe and work on this planet Earth, it's a global economy. It's a global economy because, like I said, it goes back to we want cheap stuff. I buy American shirt made in China. I mean, because why? You didn't want to pay $40 for a shirt. We want cheap stuff. We as Americans, and that's all. Like I said, financially, with everything going up, and the average millennial is still making and fighting for the same wage as a Generation X like me guy, and everything's got more expensive. So you can't not want that cheap stuff. It's a dog chasing his tail that's never going to catch it.
So, yeah, I think it's crazy. I feel bad for you. I really do. I feel bad for you because you, business-wise, in terms of comics, because of sales and whatnot. So, and I really want to help and support you.
I'll be fine. Listen, I operate on the fringes anyway. It's gonna suck because my foot traffic could go because, like I said, if you're planning a vacation and it's eating or coming out to Vegas, you're going to choose eating, or if it's mortgage or if things go up, if home builders, and a lot of this is going to affect layoffs too, because eventually if the price to build a house is going to go up, then you're building less houses because your demand is going to go down, because if people are getting laid up, it's a cycle. So I hope that we get to the edge here and somebody's got to blink. Because when people say, well, it's only temporary, no, it's permanent. The soy market, and when this particular person did this last time, we ended up losing $12 billion in market share in the soy market, because Iowa and all these places, that's a big export to China. And that was huge down there. He ended up having to subsidize. He ended up having to take taxpayer money to subsidize those same farmers because they lost that market share. Now, that market share never came back. Because once somebody else can come in and say, you can't buy from there, it's too expensive, other places are going to be like, you know what, let me better deal you. And once you make that better deal, you may not get that market share back. So you may have done permanent damage. Yeah, you call off the tariffs, but if somebody treated me well, market-wise, while this was going on, maybe I stick with that guy. Those jobs don't come back. So yeah, it's going to be tough all around. And not even the tariffs themselves, that the thought of the tariffs can cause damage. When you hear they're coming, I heard people say, well, they're not going to take place till the 8th or 9th. That doesn't matter. You think the people who have trillions to lose are going to we're going to wait for that? No, they're going to have to diversify. They're going to, my 401k, I look at my 401k and I there's a tear in my eye. If you have a 401k, your mutuals are everybody's affected. So hopefully we get something going.
And
I said Marvel. Oh, jeez.
I want to bring up something. You're going to hate it, William. But Lord of the Rings, I was just thinking about it today. Most of the new comic book movies kind of follow the same pattern as Lord of the Rings, that how it happens. The big bad guy gets this super bad weapon that can destroy everything, aka the ring or the glove or
the gauntlet,
the gauntlet or the anti-life equation, and the good guys have to stop that. It's a simple, but I mean it follows it a lot.
I don't hate that. That's a very valid point. Lord of the Rings, reading it as a kid.
You're too traumatized when you're a kid. Like you said, you're a grown ass man now.
Yeah, I try to look at Lord of the Rings in a different way now. It still bores me, but I can appreciate the story structure. From an age, listen, Seven Samurai bored a lot of people. Bored a lot of people when we streamed it, even though it was one of our bigger streams. But that story structure can be repackaged into something that's really exciting and really moving. I just don't think, like I said, Tolkien to me would, I would rather eat the pages on live stream than read them again. But I'm in the minority, Tolkien. I know people who passed Tolkien down to grandchildren. So not for me, but I appreciate what it's added to the fantasy lore for sure. Game of Thrones, he's influenced by that. Now he's got his own take of the way these things go, and that's where it appeals to me, like the Infinity Gauntlet, or stories like that, or the Anti-Life Equation. The way it's suited for me, it's packaged in a way that my little pea brain can be like, hey, all right, superheroes, we're going after the okay, cool. I just, like I said, maybe it was because I was scarred as a kid. Because, like I said, I had a teacher that loved Tolkien, and she wanted to make us love it, and it was like Clockwork Orange to me. I'm like, when you remember when he's sitting in the chair and at the end the eyelids are peeled open, I'm like, she was going to make us love this, no matter what. And man, that was a long year. But yeah, I had that. You're 100% right there, Clint. All right, so that's about it. I think anybody else got anything to get off their chest? This is your time.
Just one little thing.
I wasn't talking to you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, Tamati. I'm just messing with you. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I want to see John Cena 17-time world champion at WrestleMania.
I think that's going to happen.
So I want to get that off my chest because I watched him get crossroads. I was annoyed by that. I wanted to see him whoop Cody Rhodes.
Oh, they're setting you up though. See, when they're doing it right, and they haven't done it, in my opinion, right enough the last 20 some odd years. When they're doing it right, they send you through the emotional gamut. I think that the Cody Rhodes original storyline, the end of the story was, I hated that. That WrestleMania where that should have ended that WrestleMania, and they drug it on, and by the time he got it, it was like, oh yeah, okay, sure. I have a problem with some of their long form storytelling when the ending doesn't. I'm going to give you an example of them storytelling at their best, but the ending ruined it. Shawn Michaels, that second time he went after the Undertaker.
Yeah.
That entire year after the WrestleMania where he lost, that whole quest he went on, and Triple H is like, I don't want to give you a match. Don't want to give you a match. And Shawn Michaels, I gotta get in that match. He cost the Undertaker the title in the Elimination Chamber. He did all these things. He kept chasing the Undertaker that entire year until the Undertaker finally said yes. And then it became a retirement match. And I'm like, okay. And then I watched that match. And that's where the Undertaker streak needed to end. They ruined that. They did an excellent story that lasted 24 months, and then they ruined it. Now all I can think about that story is how stupid it was. And then who he loses it to Brock Lesnar, who disappears for the next 6 months with the
Well, that's why Undertaker should have lost like the end of the era match, that Hell in a Cell match between him and Triple H. That should have been ended as well.
I thought it should have ended with Shawn Michaels beating him.
No, I agree. But if you were going to end it there, then it should end at the Triple H match.
Yeah, it should have ended the Triple H.
I'm watching these shows on A&E, and they're about the old WWE.
Oh, the Rivals?
Well, not just the Rivals, the highlights of all the stars that went into, like Liberace was part of a wrestling story, Mr. T and all of them. It just seems like it. I don't know wrestling today. I used to watch it when I was a kid, but it just seems like today is just more blood and guts and no.
Wrestling has mirrored the society now. Like I said, back in the 80s when I started watching it, look around us then, you had MTV, you had rock and wrestling, Hulk Hogan, had cartoons. And as we moved into these different eras where they're competing for the minds of an audience that has video games. They're playing first player games. They're playing shooter games. They're watching more violence. They pretty much, if they didn't, to go along with that, they probably would have lost their audience and would have just had guys like me hanging around. So yeah, it was different. When I was watching in the 80s, it was family friendly. It was fun. I still love it though, because I love the craft of wrestling. And in fact, once I came to the realization as a kid that it was staged, I actually gained more respect for pro wrestling than I did, because I'm like, okay, this is like, you're doing this, you're planning this, what now? And it all works. I'm like, wow, I have more respect for you now than I did when I thought it was real.
Are they still the really bad actors today that they were then?
Yeah, but the angles, which are the stories, are better crafted. When we were kids in the 80s, it was all up to the personality, and if the personality couldn't carry it, it was really bad. It was goofy and cartoonish. Now the situation is pretty much catered to where even if the person is not the best performer per se, they put him in a situation where the storyline can carry him, and that person has to do very little if they're doing it right. So yeah, some of them are still bad. Some of them are really good. Some of them, but like I said, there are no Ric Flairs out there. There are no Rocks out there, in my opinion. But hey.
Need to have like skills. Are we gonna watch WrestleMania?
Wrestling was fun.
Are we gonna watch WrestleMania this April?
Yeah, I'm gonna do WrestleMania. I'm gonna do a watch along here. I'm gonna invite people to watch here, and I'm gonna be doing I'm gonna be doing both here in my screening room.
Both nights.
Okay.
Both nights. Yeah.
I went in on that. If that's all right with you.
Yeah, it'll be a watch along, and we'll have it up on our little thing, and we'll watch it. Because like I said, you know what, Peacock, that's where Peacock comes in handy, because I wouldn't pay like $80 for it. I'll watch it. That's right, you guys got it on Netflix because you're in America. So yeah, I'll be watching WrestleMania. I am mainly watching for like 3 matches. The Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Seth Rollins match, the women's match between Charlotte Flair, Io Sky. Who's Io Sky going up against? Bianca
It's going to be a triple threat.
It's a triple threat, yeah.
And obviously, the Cody Rhodes match to see how that goes. It's weird because they moved a non-title match up to the main event, so technically CM Punk is main evented.
Yep, CM Punk.
You would have already done so if he didn't keep getting injured. So, that's what happened. He got injured. He was supposed to be in the main event of that WrestleMania. He was supposed to lose at the Royal Rumble, and then he was supposed to go to the Elimination Chamber, but he got injured in that Royal Rumble match. So that's the one thing about CM Punk is his availability sometimes.
He's injured.
Not the.
That was another fun. What's his guy? Terminator guy, Schwarzenegger. He was at a wrestling event as an announcer, and he eventually somehow smacked one of the wrestlers down and knocked him out.
Triple H.
Donald Trump got stunned. Stone Cold Steve Austin put a stunner on his ass. WrestleMania. Mike Tyson. Remember Mike Tyson was in there? The 98. He was in there. He turned on DX.
Yeah,
some of the stuff was fun.
Yeah, I remember that.
Now I am an addict when it comes to wrestling. I like I said, the other night I was watching up the Road to Sakura. That was like NW New Japan. Start time is 12:30. Main event's like 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm watching it. I'm watching Dave Finlay going up against Goto. Wrestle Kingdom. Yeah. When it was 2 days, I'm up all night watching it. Because it's in Tokyo. And I want to be in Tokyo for the next Wrestle Kingdom. I'm gonna do my damnedest to get there. But yeah, I watch New Japan. I watch MLW. I watch NWA. NWA is not as good, but I watch AEW. AEW puts on the best matches. I'm gonna have fun today. As a matter of fact, in about 10 minutes, I'm gonna go get ready for Dynasty, which I think is gonna have some great matches. There's a match in there with Kenny Omega. It's Kenny Omega, Ricochet, which that's the only 2 I needed. And who's the third guy in that match? There's a third guy in that match?
Will Ospreay?
I don't think it's Will Ospreay. Hold on. I think it's who is Will Ospreay? Hold on, because I already know that I am when I'm watching it. I know you don't need to sell me Okay, Dynasty 2025. All right, so let's see. Hold on. No, this is. All right, so John Moxley versus Ursula. You better win that match, Swerve. Tony Storm versus Megan Bain, which is going to be a good match. Megan Bain is huge. It's like 6 feet tall. Kenny Omega versus Rick. Oh man, this is going to be the match that's going to have me doing backflips and hurting myself. Kenny Omega, Ricochet versus Speedball Mike Bailey, who I have gotten to see wrestle in person. Those three styles, that shit's going to be bonkers. I'm going to love that match. Daniel Garcia versus Adam Cole. Death Riders, Claudio Castagnoli and Wheeler Yuta versus Rated FTR. And Cope Catch. I think there's going to be a heel turn here. I think they've been setting up for a heel turn. Chris Jericho, that's my bathroom. That's my bathroom break. Chris Jericho versus Bandito. I love you. I love you, Chris Jericho, what you've done with wrestling, but it's time to move on.
It's time to retire, Chris Jericho.
Yeah. Hurt Syndicate versus the Learning Tree, Big Bill and Kevin Keith. I don't think they're going to. I think Hurt Syndicate going to win that. Will Ospreay versus Kevin Knight is going to be a great match. That's a Owen Hart tournament match. Mercedes Moné versus Julia Hart is going to be a good match. But that's not a title match. Kyle Fletcher versus Mike. So they got tournament matches throughout here. Solid pay-per-view, but I'm only watching it for a few matches.
Yeah, I'll be watching it too. But it's like I just thought to get your I got to get your wrestling knowledge, man. You really get to talk about wrestling here, and we need some of that on the sci-fi.
Yeah, I'm going to probably get a separate wrestling show because I understand that's a portion of my audience that really wants to see it, but I also understand that not all my standard audience is into it. Charlotte Flair saying your boyfriend in my DMs is too much. That whole thing was too much.
Yeah, that went off script.
Yeah, they went off script, and I'm surprised that they allowed them to do that. But hey, you know,
it was also very awkward.
They deleted WWE deleted that video on their YouTube page.
Yeah, but it's still on. I'm on DVR. It's still there. Yeah, that was. I don't know. I mean, maybe it'll help sell the match, but who knows? I think Charlotte Flair is going to beat her though. Monet versus Athena is going to be bigger when it happens. Yeah, it is. I think they're saving that for All In. So, all right, guys, I'm going to get the hell out of here because I have some work to do at the store. And I have a pay-per-view to watch while I'm doing work at the store because, like I said, the Chris Jericho match, I'm probably going to build a shelf while that match goes on. All right, patrons, thank you guys for your support. Those who could make it, those who couldn't make it, we'll be doing these more often, and we're also going to do media streams, or not media streams, YouTube membership streams. So we have a ton of YouTube members that I don't want to ignore. I will see you later on tonight during our standard show. It'll be a little bit earlier as soon as AEW Dynasty wraps up. We'll be on the air talking wrestling and anything else that wraps up the week. I think we've got a lot of the Superman talk out of the way. I don't think we need to dive back into Superman anymore unless something new happens, which it's not going to happen in 6 hours. So it's going to be primarily open mic and wrestling, and then I'm going to try to I'm going to give Fatburger another chance, and then we'll go there. So, all right, guys, thanks for being here. Thanks for being patrons. See you tonight.
Bye, guys.